The sun bleeds gold over the dry Texas plains, streaking the sky like fire on canvas. Jacob Holloway squints beneath the brim of his dusty hat, hand gripping the worn wood of the fence he's patched for the third time this week. He's 42, black, quiet, built like a man raised on sweat and silence. His ranch is modest, 30 head of cattle, 3 old barns, and a dog too old to bark. But it's his. Bought with the inheritance his father scraped together driving trucks until his back gave out. Mason County doesn't change much. Not since the Reconstruction. Still the same old stares at the feed store. Still the same, "Yes, sir," from Jacob, even when he's the one with the money. Folks here don't bother pretending. They wave but don't stop. Say neighbor, but never mean friend. Doesn't matter. Jacob's learned to live with the space. He fills it with chores, long walks, and gospel music that echoes through the hills when no one's around to listen. Today, though, the quiet feels different. A black pickup crawls down the gravel road, trailing a storm of dust behind it. Jacob watches from his porch, one hand resting on the rifle. He keeps more for show than for use. Nobody just shows up out here. Not without a reason. The truck stops near the gate. A woman climbs out, tall, sharp-featured, skin pale as linen and eyes twitching like she's late for something. She doesn't wave, just opens the passenger door. And out they come. 2 little girls. 6, maybe 7. Thin arms, tangled hair, sundresses 2 sizes too small. They don't speak, don't cry, just stare at the dirt like it's safer than looking anyone in the eye. Jacob steps off the porch, slow and cautious. "Can I help you, ma'am?" She scoffs like it's a joke. "You got space, right?" Thought ranchers liked hard workers. His brow furrows. "They yours. Stepkids," she mutters, lighting a cigarette with fingers that shake too fast. "Their daddy passed. They ain't got nobody left. Figured I'd do 'em a favor. Drop 'em someplace they won't starve." Jacob's chest tightens. The woman shrugs, like she's leaving a couple of old boots. "You want 'em or not?" He looks at the girls again. One clutches the other's hand. They're both barefoot. A tiny scratch bleeds down the leg of the smaller one, mixing with dirt. He doesn't know what this is. Not yet. But something's wrong. Something real wrong. The wind shifts. Dust stings his eyes. "I'll take him," he hears himself say. The woman smirks, gets back in the truck, and drives off like she's unloaded trash. Jacob watches the girls, who haven't moved, haven't blinked. He doesn't know it yet. But this strange, quiet morning is the start of a storm that'll rip his whole world open. And no one in Mason County's ready for what it'll reveal. The girls don't speak. They eat what Jacob gives them, mostly cornbread, eggs, and whatever's left in the icebox, but never ask for seconds. They sleep curled up together on the old cot in the spare room. The door always cracked like they're afraid it might lock behind them. When Jacob asks for their names, they stare at him like it's a trick. He tries not to push, just gives them space, chores, and warm food. Still, something scratches at the edge of his mind. A feeling, like a shadow, stretching longer than it should. Late on the 4th evening, he finds bruises. The older girl, he started calling her Cassie because she flinches less at that name, rolls up her sleeve while washing dishes, revealing deep yellow-green marks shaped like fingers. She doesn't notice him looking, doesn't even stop scrubbing. Jacob steps outside, jaw tight. The porch boards groan beneath his boots. A wind kicks dust into the dark, but it doesn't carry away the fury knotting in his chest. He needs answers. He drives into town the next morning. The sheriff's office sits next to the diner, all white paint and smug history. Sheriff Boone leans against his cruiser, sipping sweet tea like justice can wait until lunch. Mid-50s, pink-skinned, silver mustache groomed like a weapon. Jacob's known him since high school, back when Boone used to call him boy and smirk like it was just teasing. Now Boone just narrows his eyes when Jacob steps out of the truck. "Sheriff," Jacob says carefully, "got a question about a woman, blonde, long legs, drives a black Dodge. Dropped 2 kids on my property a few days ago." Boone doesn't blink. "You keepin' him?" "I'm feeding. Didn't see no papers. Don't know where she come from." Boone chuckles, slow and thick. "Well now, that sounds like a personal problem." Jacob's eyes darken. "She said their daddy died. Didn't say where." Didn't say when. One of M's got bruises. Boone sets his tea down on the hood. Look, Holloway, I'm sure you mean well, but you really want to get mixed up in white folks' business? Some of these ladies, they're just struggling is all. Hard times make people do things they don't want to admit. Jacob doesn't move, doesn't blink. Boone straightens up, voice dropping. You bring them girls in here, maybe the county takes him. Puts him with people who know how to raise white kids. Foster homes, good Christian families. Not saying you're not capable, just thinking long term. There it is, the line drawn clean and sharp. Jacob clenches his jaw, turns without a word. Boone calls after him, syrupy sweet, trying to be helpful. Holloway, don't go talking it the wrong way. Back at the ranch, the girls are sitting on the porch. Cassie's sister, he thinks her name might be June, clutches a crumpled picture in her hands. A man's face, half burned but smiling. Jacob kneels beside her. Who's that? June opens her mouth. A whisper, like wind through dead grass. Daddy. And Jacob knows whatever happened to their father wasn't natural. Wasn't right. And the woman who dropped them off? She ain't just cruel. She's hiding something. Something bad. Jacob can't sleep. The bruises, the silence, the burned photo, it all sticks like a burr in his gut. He walks the creaking floorboards long past midnight, running every word the girls have said. What few there were, through his mind. Daddy, that's what June whispered. Not he left, or he's gone. Just Daddy, like she still sees him in dreams. He needs answers, real ones. The next morning, Jacob drives back into town. He doesn't bother with the sheriff. Instead, he stops by the records office and asks for death certificates under the name Wesley Carter. June had whispered it the night before, soft, like she was afraid it would disappear. The clerk, a young Latina woman named Rosa, hesitates when she pulls up the files. No death certificate for that name. Not in this county or the next two. Jacob frowns. You sure? Rosa nods. Then, quietly, trying to help someone, he hesitates, then nods. 2 little girls. Said he was their daddy. A woman dumped them on me like stray dogs. Rosa leans in. You didn't hear this from me. But that woman, stepmother maybe, she came through here last week. Filed something weird. Custody transfer paperwork. No court stamp. Just a notary who's, let's just say, he doesn't ask questions. Jacob's heart kicks. Fraud. Paperwork that wouldn't hold in daylight. And still, the system might back her up because she's white and confident and connected. Can you give me your name? Rosa hesitates again, then slides a sticky note across the desk. Melanie Carter. Jacob leaves with a copy of the paperwork in hand. That night, he finds Cassie crying behind the chicken coop. Quiet sobs, no tears, just this hollow sound like something's broken beyond repair. He wraps a blanket around her and asks, Did Melanie hurt you? Cassie flinches, then nods barely. What about your dad? She hesitates, then whispers he tried to stop her. She said he had an accident. Jacob's blood runs cold. The photo, the missing death certificate, the bruises. She killed him, and no one's looking. The next morning, Jacob marches into the sheriff's office, paperwork in hand. Boone leans back in his chair, sipping coffee like the world owes him rest. She forged custody, Jacob says, voice low but steady. And the girls say their father's dead. No record of it. No body. Just bruises and lies. Boone snorts. So you're a lawyer now? She killed him. Boone sets his coffee down hard. You got proof of that? Or just the word of 2 traumatized little girls? Word of advice, Holloway, drop it. You're walking into business that ain't yours. Jacob steps closer. They're children. This is my business. Boone stands now, face reddening. You think the court's going to take your word over hers? A respected white woman with family in the county clerk's office? Be real. The door opens behind them. Rosa steps in quiet but firm. I've already emailed the paperwork to CPS. Sent copies to Austin, too. That custody transfer? Illegal. The notary's under investigation. Boone stares at her, jaw tight. You going rogue now, Rosa? I'm doing what's right. Jacob looks back at the sheriff, fire in his voice. You can ignore it. You can cover for her. But the truth's out now, and it's coming for her. Outside, the wind howls. Inside, the old rules of silence and skin are starting to crack. And Melanie Carter? She doesn't know it yet, but the mask she's wearing is about to rip wide open. Melanie Carter rolls up in a white Escalade like she owns the land beneath her tires. It's noon. Sun's high, beating down on Jacob's ranch like justice in a black hat. The twins sit just inside the barn, peeking through slats in the wood. Jacob told them to stay put, just in case. Melanie steps out, sunglasses too big, perfume too thick. Her heels crunch on gravel like punctuation. She's smiling, but the kind of smile you see on wolves right before they bite. "You've had your fun," she says, arms crossed. "Now hand them over." Jacob doesn't flinch. He leans against the fence post, hat low over his eyes. "You're trespassing." She laughs, sharp, amused. "Please, you think that matters?" Sheriff Boone's already waiting at the station. "Got CPS on standby. You really think you'll keep 2 white girls? You're not even licensed." Holloway. Jacob says nothing, just studies her. She steps closer. "Let me break it down for you, since I know big words make y'all uncomfortable. I married their father for his money. He got in the way. Now he's gone. And those girls? They're mine by default. Nobody cared before. No one's gonna care now." He let her words hang in the air, thick as the heat. Then, quietly, "So you admit it." She freezes, just for a moment, then smirks. "You recording me?" "No need." From behind the barn, a voice cuts through the stillness. "Actually, I am." Rosa steps forward, holding up her phone. Red light blinking. Behind her stands a second figure, an older black man in a suit. Mr. Lansing, CPS investigator from Austin. Stern, silent, and holding a folder thick with paper. Melanie's mask wavers. Lansing steps forward. "We have witness statements, digital records, and the notary who confirmed you paid him under the table. That custody transfer you filed? Fake. And the bank's already flagged your activity around your late husband's account." She blinks. "You're bluffing." He opens a folder, slow. His body was found this morning in an irrigation ditch 3 miles off County Road 9. Buried under a tarp. Shot twice. Ballistics are pending, but neighbors reported hearing an argument 3 weeks ago. "Between you and Wesley Carter." Melanie stumbles back, legs shaking. No, this is wrong. He left. He ran off." Jacob steps forward now, voice low. "Cassie said you told him to shut up, or you'd make him disappear. Said you called her a mistake." She spins on him, eyes blazing. "You think people like you win? You think any of this will stick when the court sees them living in your house?" Jacob meets her gaze, calm as stone. "It ain't the court I'm worried about. It's the truth, and it's louder than your lies." Melanie screams. She lunges, desperate, claws out, but Lansing is already signaling the deputy who pulled up behind her Escalade. Handcuffs snap around her wrists. She shrieks as they drag her toward the cruiser, shouting about property and privilege and how this wasn't supposed to happen. Her words echo off the barn like curses. The twins peek out, eyes wide. Jacob walks to them, kneels low. "It's over," he whispers. "She can't hurt you anymore." They don't speak, but they don't look away either. For the first time, June reaches out, small hand wrapping around Jacob's callous fingers. Cassie follows, pressing her forehead to his shoulder. And as the cruiser kicks up dust down the road, the silence it leaves behind feels like peace starting to grow roots. News travels faster than a prairie fire when it's about a white woman in handcuffs. By sundown, Melanie Carter's arrest is all over the local news. Socialite and widow accused of fraud and involvement in husband's death. Jacob doesn't need to read the comments to know which way the wind's blowing. Half the town's ready to crucify her. The other half's waiting to see if the sheriff's going to cover it up. But Jacob isn't done yet. That night, he sits down with Rosa and Mr. Lansing in the sheriff's station conference room. Boone's there too, tight-lipped, red-faced, arms crossed like a child caught with stolen candy. He hasn't said a word since Melanie was dragged off his porch screaming. Jacob lays out everything. The fake custody transfer, the bruises, the whispered confession, the burned photo June clutched like it was the last piece of her father. Then Rosa drops the hammer. "We got the gas station security footage," she says, sliding over a USB drive. 3 weeks ago, Melanie stopped to fill up on her way to County Road 9. Time stamped and GPS logged. She told police she was out of town that day, claimed she had receipts. Lansing plugs the drive into the station computer. The footage plays, grainy but clear. Melanie in designer sunglasses, dragging a tarp from her trunk. She glances around before shoving it into a nearby ditch. Everyone in the room goes silent. Boone finally speaks. That could be anything. Rosa glares at him. It's him. We matched the tarp's fabric with the one found at the crime scene. And the girls confirmed the shirt sticking out. Same one he wore the night he disappeared. Jacob leans in, calm and clear. You knew, didn't you? Boone bristles. I don't know anything. You protected her, Jacob says. Because she's white. Because she's wealthy. Because you thought no one would question it if she dumped 2 kids on a black man's porch and walked away clean. Boone slams his hand on the table. Watch your mouth. But the room's already shifted. Lansing doesn't even blink. We've forwarded the footage to the state attorney. Sheriff Boone, your communications with Melanie Carter are under review. If we find even one call or text that suggests collusion. Boone storms out, red-faced and sweating. Rosa turns to Jacob. He'll be gone by morning. Jacob doesn't smile, but there's a quiet weight lifted in his eyes. By the next day, the news anchors aren't whispering anymore. Sheriff under investigation. Local woman indicted on charges of murder, child abuse, and fraud. The county clerk's office is scrubbed clean. Melanie's family? Silent. Her Escalade? Impounded. The footage goes viral. Not because it's flashy, but because it's real. A rancher, a pair of quiet girls, and a system rigged for silence finally cracked open by the truth. At the schoolyard, parents who once looked through Jacob now stop to shake his hand. A teacher offers to help the girls adjust. A grocer leaves extra apples in his bag for the little ones. But Jacob doesn't care about the headlines. He cares about Cassie laughing for the first time, really laughing, when a butterfly lands on her nose out by the stables. He cares about June slipping her hand into his during supper, unprompted. And he cares about the moment they both start calling him Daddy. Not because someone told them to, but because they chose him. And that choice, that's what flips the story. Not the footage, not the courts, not even the downfall of a liar in pearls. The girls lived, and now they're finally beginning to grow. Melanie Carter's name disappears from the country club roster the same day her mugshot makes the evening news. Lashes smudged, hair wild, mouth frozen mid-scream. The headline underneath says it all. Prominent widow, charged with husband's murder, child exploitation, and fraud. It hits every news station in Texas. Even makes a round on national TV. Some polished anchors saying, a wealthy stepmother accused of selling off her twin stepdaughters to a black rancher in rural East Texas. They say it like Jacob's the strange part. But in town, the real shift is quieter. The bank teller who once looked through Jacob now greets him by name. A pastor invites him and the girls to Sunday service. Not to gawk, but to welcome. White neighbors drop off pies they never would have offered 6 months ago. Small things, but real. Melanie's trial is set for the fall. Her assets frozen. Her late husband's life insurance redirected to the twins through a court-appointed trust. She files motions, pleas, crocodile tears. Claims she was misunderstood, victimized. But there's no escaping the footage. No scrubbing the bruises from public memory. And when the judge denies bail, citing risk of flight and an egregious pattern of racial manipulation, her scream echoes through the courtroom. Jacob watches it from a bench outside. He doesn't smile, but he doesn't look away either. Back at the ranch, life settles like dust after a storm. The barn's quieter now. Cassie no longer flinches at slamming doors. June sleeps through the night. They have chores, small ones. Feed the goats. Sweep the porch. Jacob pays them in stickers and strawberry jam. They draw pictures of horses and sunsets. Of Daddy Jake holding their hands. One hangs on the fridge. Cassie drew it in purple crayon. Me, June, Daddy, and stars. And every night, after supper, they ask him to tell a story. So he does. Stories about horses who outran lightning. About rivers that whispered secrets. About fathers who didn't have to be blood to be real. At the fall harvest fair, people stare, but differently now. A woman leans down to the twins. You girls okay? June nods shyly. Cassie beams. We live on a ranch now. We got goats. A few folks still whisper, still avert their eyes, still wonder how a black man ended up raising two white girls on his own. But Jacob doesn't waste breath on them. He knows the truth is louder. Late one evening, as leaves turn gold and wind hums soft across the prairie, Jacob sits on the porch. The twins are asleep. The stars are out. Rosa stops by, leaning on the rail beside him. "You did good, Jake." He shrugs. "Didn't feel like it half the time." She smiles. "That's how you know it mattered." A long pause. Then she adds, "They're lucky to have you." He glances at the door. Two tiny boots lined up beside his. "Nah," he says softly. "I'm a lucky one." And somewhere far from courtrooms and cameras, justice breathes. Not loud and sharp, but slow. Gentle, like a field growing back after wildfire. Because in a world where money protects monsters, where skin still decides who's heard and who's ignored, Jacob didn't just win. He rewrote the ending. And this time, the girls live. And this time, they're free.